Hi friends, welcome to all of you. I am Mr. Bharat Shelke, Assistant Professor working at Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samaj, Arts, Science and Commerce College, Ozarmeg, Nasik. This video explains the filtration process for the precipitate. Up to this point, we discuss how to prepare the precipitate and how to avoid, how to remove the impurities, that is co-precipitation and post-precipitation. So in this video, filtration process is explained. For the filtration purpose, which types of special equipments, or we can say the special materials are used for the filtration and which techniques are used. All these are discussed in this video. Now see the filtering the precipitate in gravimetric analysis. Now the most important definition in filtering the precipitate is filtration. Now see the filtration, the process of separation of the precipitate from the mother liquor using some porous medium is known as filtration. The process of separation of the precipitate from the mother liquor using some porous medium is known as filtration. Filtration is a very simple technique. It's only the separation of the precipitate from this solvent, from this mother liquor from which it is prepared. So that is a simple method and that is known as filtration. So just separate the precipitate from that solvent. So for that filtration purpose, some special materials, or we can say some special equipments like filter paper and crucible, like some porous plates are used for the filtration purpose. Filtration is a very easy task, but the removal or separation of pure components from the impurity or from this mother liquor, for that purpose some special solvents are used for the washing purpose. So in a filtration, the use of proper filter paper, the use of proper solvent, the use of proper size of funnels and the time given for the filtration is the most important, and also the condition for the precipitate. That means some precipitates require the hot condition for the filtration and some precipitate requires the cold condition for the filtration. So that means this condition is also important for the filtration purpose. Now see about the filtration. These are the three medias used for the filtration purpose. So first media is known as filter paper, which is the most common use for filtration. Then second one is filter pulp. So when filter paper is not sufficient to separate the precipitate, or the filter paper does not satisfy the requirement for the filtration, then we can use the filter pulp. And sometimes some precipitates cannot be separated, cannot be filtered by using the filter pulp, and then the another new method, or we can say the new medium is used, and that is known as filtering crucibles. So these are the three media by which we can do the filtration: filter paper, filter pulp and filtering crucible. So these are the some used media for the filtration purpose. Now see the first, filter paper. In laboratory work or for a simple precipitation filtration, just an ordinary filter paper is used. So that filter paper must have some small ash content, and also there are some special filter papers. That filter papers are especially the ashless filter papers. So when the micro level work is going on, that means a small amount of substance is going to precipitate, then that time, or in the gravimetry, the filter paper which is ashless is used, and for normal laboratory work we use the ordinary filter paper. Now see some things about the filter paper. The filter paper must have a small ash content. That means once the filter paper is burned or ignite with the main precipitate, then that filter paper must have a small ash content. Then this is a special grade paper. Why special grade paper? Because it is treated with HF and HCl to remove the non-volatile matter. So the paper does not have any non-volatile matter. If it have, then it is treated with HF and HCl, and therefore this is called as special grade paper. It is not an ordinary paper. Then the paper size varies differently, like 7 as well as 9 as well as 12.5 centimeter in diameter. So different diameter size of papers are available for the filtration purpose, and it again depends on the amount of substance, the amount of precipitate used for filtration purpose. Suppose higher amount of precipitate is there, then we can use 11 or 12.5 centimeter of diameter filter paper, and if the precipitate at micro level, then we can use the 7 diameter filter paper. So it depends on the amount of precipitate. Now sometimes these precipitates are not satisfied the filtration requirement, then some special filter papers are used, and they are totally ashless filter papers, and they are called as Whatman filter paper. So Whatman filter papers are circular in shape, and they have a very low ash content, and the size of the filter papers is again, some are 9 diameters and some filter papers are 11 diameters. These Whatman filter papers are numbered, specially numbered, and these number as Whatman number 40 and Whatman number 41. These are the names, or we can say we can identify these filter papers by using these numbers, Whatman number 41 and Whatman number 40. And some filter papers are treated with nitric acid, and these are called as hardened filter paper. Some filter papers are treated with nitric acid. So when the filter paper is treated with such a types of acid, then that filter paper is called as hardened filter paper. And these hardened filter paper have a very small ash, as well as they have a very great mechanical strength, and they can resist to attack of acid and alkali. That means when we filter the precipitate with some acidic material or alkali material, then it cannot affect to that filter paper. So that is the most important use, and therefore this paper is called as hardened filter paper. And why it is called as hardened filter paper? Because they are treated with nitric acid, and therefore they are called as hardened filter paper. Now see the second media or second medium used for the filtration, that is called as filter pulp. So filter pulp is basically used instead of filter paper. And how it is prepared? So it is prepared by shaking vigorously ordinary filter paper torn. In this filter pulp, sometimes some tablets are also used. So for example, Whatman ashless tablet, which is 3.85 centimeter in diameter, is also used instead of a filter pulp. Now see the next third media which is used for the filtration purpose, and that is the filtering crucible. Now see what is in by crucible. A porcelain crucible whose bottom is perforated with a number of small holes and fitted with a filter mat of white silky anhydrous purified asbestos is called as gauge crucible, or it is called as crucible. So simply it is a porcelain crucible whose bottom is perforated with number of small holes and fitted with a filter mat of white silky anhydrous purified asbestos. So it is the asbestos material, and at the bottom there is a filter mat, and this filter mat have a perforated with number of small holes, and that is the filtering crucible. So when filter paper as well as the filter pulp is unable to separate the material, why it is unable or why it does not separate the material perfectly? Because some precipitates get reduced during the precipitation purpose, during that filtration, when we use the filter paper as well as filter pulp, and sometimes when the high temperature is applied, then filter paper as well as filter pulp is unable to separate the material and they can burn with that precipitate. So therefore filtering crucible we can use for the filtration purpose. Now see the three types of the filtering crucible which is used for the filtration purpose. First one, sintered glass crucible. Second one, silica filtering crucible, and third one, porcelain filtering crucible. These three are the some types of the crucible which is used for the filtration purpose. Now see the one by one. First, sintered glass crucible. So this is made up from resistance glass. For example, the Pyrex glass, and the Pyrex glass having a porous disc of sintered ground glass fused into the body of the crucible. That means that crucible is basically made with Pyrex glass, and which is resistance glass, and the disc have various porosities like 5 to 10 microns to 100 to 200 microns. That means sintered glass have a different pore size, sometimes 5 to 10 microns or 20 to 30 microns, 40 to 50 microns, as well as 100 to 200 micron pores are used in sintered glass crucible, and therefore they are numbered as number 1, number 2, number 3 and number 4 plates. Now see the second crucible, that is known as silica filtering crucible. Now see the silica filtering crucible. It is prepared from pure fused silica. So this silica filtering crucible is made up from pure fused silica. The silica is fused and which forms a crucible, and name is as silica filtering crucible. And silica is a very hard material, and therefore this crucible is also hard, and it can be used up to the temperature 1000 degree Celsius. That means we can apply a very high temperature during the filtration purpose. That means if the precipitate is already having a high temperature, so we can do the hot filtration by using this silica filtering crucible, and the temperature we can use for the filtration purpose is 1000 degree Celsius. And these crucibles are attacked by phosphates, alkalis and hydrofluoric acid. Actually this is the disadvantage of this silica filtering crucible. Why? Because when we use the phosphates, alkalis as well as hydrofluoric acid during the filtration purpose, then these phosphates, alkalis and acids can be attacked on this crucible. They can react with these silica materials, and therefore it contaminates our main precipitate during the filtration. But these silica crucibles or these silica filtering crucibles are very resistant to the other chemical reagents. That means instead of phosphate, alkalis and HF, we can use the other reagents very smoothly for the filtration purpose. This crucible does not react, does not contaminate to the main precipitate. So that is the second, known as silica filtering crucible, which is the media used for the filtration purpose when we use the crucible. Now third crucible, that is called as porcelain filtering crucible. So porcelain, these are made up from and simply the porcelain, and it can be heated again at a high temperature. So when we use the high temperature, the temperature must be increased very slowly. If we increase the temperature suddenly, then there must be a possibility of cracking that porcelain or cracking of that porcelain crucible, and therefore the crucible should never be heated directly. So this is the minimum requirement, minimum condition when we use such a types of porcelain filtering crucible. So these are the three types of crucible when we use crucible as a filtering media. So in this video we discuss the filtration. Filtration means the separation of the precipitate from the mother liquor by using some porous material, that is called as filtration. And the media used for filtration is filter paper, filter pulp, and filtering crucible. These are the three media used for the filtration purpose. And we also discuss what is the filter paper and filter pulp and the three types of crucibles. So thank you for watching this video. In next video we will discuss how to do the washing of the precipitate and also the drying and ignition of the precipitate in gravimetric analysis. Thank you.